Periodicals and Elizabeth Buckley of the Myron County District Attorney's Office. Julie Sianka, an $140,000 public defender. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York, on Park Avenue. I have been an innocent man in jail 6 times. From Monroe County Jail, Rochester, New York, Livingston County Jail, Geneseo, New York, and 6 times prosecutors not talked in court. I've used that exact language 100 times on YouTube and in other forums. Who is it? A taxpayer financed psychopath employed by District Attorney Sandra Doorley has violated my civil and constitutional rights. And that doesn't matter to you, $113,000 Perry Douglas. That doesn't matter to you, $104,000 at Buckley. That doesn't matter to you, $140,000 public defender Julie Sianka, because you have this information. And there are disciplinary committees I have yet to contact. And what I'm going to send them is what I'm holding up right here. This is November 4th, 2023. You Perry Douglas, Elizabeth Buckley, Julie Sianka are on here. I only use a Gmail or a Proton Mail once because I believe I cannot be blocked. Chichester Christopher 65 at Gmail. 1 year ago today. Then I print this out here, or had it printed at Patrick's Printing on East Main Street. I've sent this to District Attorney Sandra, Sheriff Todd Baxter, Supreme Court Judge Alice Renzi, Paul C. Metzler, United States Attorney for the Western District New York Trinity Ross, and Attorney General Merrick Garland over and over since this year. This one document here from 1 year ago today has arrived 50 plus times easy. So on this November 4th, 2023, I wrote in this YouTube language for the YouTube called Invisible, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi, attached a PDF of 30 Freedom of Information Law documents dated November 4th, 2023 that forces you to disclose information to me. This information includes the names of my prosecutor's files, mail, the names of my prosecutor's files, the address on the foil, the language on the foil. Quote, documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, John P. Menzel Jr. in Penn Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, Paul C. Metzler in Penn Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? End quote. Quote, documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, Alice Renzi in the State Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? End quote. Contact me about minors on your public employee payrolls with the information I demand. Do you expend taxpayer dollars to employ minors? I've communicated with YouTube party switching freaks previously on YouTube links. That goes down here. One of it's called Shane's. That was from 2 days before, on November 2nd, 2023. So the Freedom of Information Law, 1 year later, for you Perry Douglas, Elizabeth Buckley, Julie Sianka, and the other freaks and sociopaths at the District Attorney's Office, Public Defender's Office. 1 year later is today, November 4th, 2024, which is today, Monday. So, this is information you have, especially the District Attorney's Office. I do not know if the public defender has the payroll for the District Attorney's Office, but you should. You're a de facto employee of the District Attorney's Office, $140,000 public defender, Julie Sianka, and you exist in a delusional, insane 1984 if you don't think that's the case for you. Freedom of Information Law, again, if I repeat things, corruption, which is all 3 of those names I've mentioned, requires repetition. November 4, 2024, Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester with John P. Menzel Jr. Penn Court was named the prosecutor, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. So, what is the name of the prosecutor, District Attorney Sandra Doorley? Because I have the payroll for the District Attorney's Office and a freaking sociopath right here on the payroll. So who is it? Tell me who it is. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, Paul C. Metzler, Penn Court was then prosecutor, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. So do you know I have the payroll for the District Attorney's Office and the freaking sociopath that has violated my civil and constitutional rights? It's on the payroll. Right here. It's the District Attorney's Office payroll. So, Freedom of Information Law. Who forced me into Alex Renzi? This is because the $73,000 perjurer, Michael Houlihan, lying under oath to a grand jury convened by Michelle Crowley, for which he has not been fired. I've talked about him relentlessly. But forced into Alex Renzi because $73,000 perjurer, Michael Houlihan, who had to be investigated by the state attorney general. And Todd Baxter doesn't take his weapon, doesn't put him on restricted duty, and then him and $85,000 Don Benedetto walk onto private property. They hide on private property, wait for me at midnight, chase me up onto my back porch. Then Houlihan and Benedetto know when I enter my residence and I did not stop running at midnight that they have to lie. Houlihan's lies, I swung a hammer at him on back porch, which is on the body camera footage that Regina Harper showed me, which is a lie. It's one thing to be a liar freak cop, and that's Michael Houlihan. It's quite a different thing to be a liar freak cop under oath for your grand jury, Michelle Crowley. You didn't call me to. And I would have said this to you also in your office. If you wanted to give me a pre-interview, I would have sat in that grand jury box, you disgusting fucking freak, Michelle Crowley. You could have asked me question after question after question about that night. Your ham sandwich that night. Michelle Crowley, have you watched me talk about that night? Read the foil information. How many grand jurors were there? What's the vote? Where was it convened? Sandra always received that information. So anyway, documentation for the case of history charge yesterday before Alex Renzi in the State Supreme Court was aimed at prosecutor District Attorney Sandra Doorley. The person who forced me into Alex Renzi and stood there in idiot silence is right here because the prosecutor decided to Alex Renzi. Or if I'm incorrect, why not have a prosecutor? Because there were two females standing behind me. Now pay attention, you freaks, sociopaths, the District Attorney Office and Sheriff's Office. Alex Renzi told me I'm finished and done. I'm going to have this as a record of saying I'm not finished and done. Because all it takes is one of you freaks and sociopaths to concoct some arrest warrant lie, send it to me in the mail, or you'll follow and track me, present me before the corrupt judge, where you at the district attorney's office don't have to talk for me to be in jail. How am I in jail one time at a prosecutor in Todd court? It's happened to me 6 times because it's a freak assistant district attorney and a freak judge drenched in corruption. So who is it? Who's the assistant district attorney violating my civil and constitutional rights? Standing in idiot silence in Penfield Court, New York State Supreme Court, because of concocted criminal charges by psychopath cops like Michael Houlihan, Don Benedetto, Andrew Reale, Shannon Meyer, and Richard Seaman. Who is it? Todd Baxter uses the blue wall silence to protect each one of those psychopath cops. It's right here. Perry Duckles, 113-918-94 You know the answer, Perry Duckles. So, Elizabeth D. Buckley, $104,474.80. You know. Elizabeth Buckley and Perry Duckles know who it is because they're at the district attorney's office. And Sandra Doorley has received this documentation over and over and over. November 4th, 2023. See that? November 4th, 2023. Who are the prosecutors that have violated my civil and constitutional rights? Who is it? November 4th, 2024. Who are the prosecutors that have violated my civil and constitutional rights? Who is it? The payroll for the district attorney's office. The freaking sociopath hasn't left. It's right here. The freaking sociopath has left. I don't care about that because they're disciplinary committees for attorneys. Who is it? It's the payroll for the sheriff's office. On his first page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 employees paid 6 figures. I've already read that. I'm not going to read it again. When I sent this to State Control, Thomas B. DiNapoli, 2 names on here, I think they're going to capture his attention. Michael T. Fowler, 163,877.48. Corey Brown, 155,366.64. Corey Brown is paid $23,000 more than Todd Baxter. Michael T. Fowler is paid $31,000 more than Todd Baxter. On his page here, 6-figure cops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's got 11 6-figure cops in here. That's all there is cops. So, tell me who it is. October 25th, 2024. Perry Duckles, Julie Sianka. You're up here too, Elizabeth Buckley. 1 year ago, on October 25th, 2023, I contacted Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Doorley via registered mail return receipt. The language, quote, Mailing names of my prosecutor's office to my addresses below you, party switching freak, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. I've been in jail 6 times. 6 times prosecuting your corrupt office not talked in court. This is called Saturday. Attaching PDFs, free information, law documentation dated October 25th, 2024. The language. October 25th, 2024, she refused. You refused too, Perry Douglas, Julie Sianka, Elizabeth Buckley. November 4th, 2024, today, you will refuse. Perry Douglas, Julie Sianka, Elizabeth Buckley. November 2nd, 2024, 2 days ago when I was on here, you will refuse. Lunatic sick French. Why do I have to call Pretrial Services Corporation? I'm in oblivion about this one, and I don't like to use language like I'm in oblivion, but there's no other way to phrase it. Pretrial Services Corporation. 1, is this not a government bureaucracy? 2, I don't have a trial schedule. Yet I had to go see Jamie Belliard on St. Paul in the city, drag my ass over there under the threat of being returned to jail. And then when I had to appear in front of the exalted one, Alex Renzi, he says, you didn't go to Pretrial Services Corporation. And then I say to him, as I'm standing in front of him, as I'm his personal defendant scout, yes, I did. And then this $210,000 fossil who's about 70 years old is all confused. Oh, you did? And I said, yeah, and you could call her too. Why does this thing exist? I have no idea. But I'm going to contact Jamie Belliard. How is this thing created? Corporation. To me, a corporation is a private entity. Can you see that language up here? Pretrial Services Corporation. I communicate with you at the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. Release under supervision check-in guidelines. The anger I have when I have to go see her and read this language here, that I'm going to repeat for you fucking freaks and sociopaths at District Attorney's Office and Public Defender's Office. Release under supervision check-in guidelines. A prosecutor is never talked in court. So why am I holding this document here that Jamie Belliard gave me that says release under supervision guidelines? Well, she's circled here. Here's her name here. There's Renzi here. It's Jamie Belliard's name with a court card drawer. That's her email. She shows she wrote it. jbelliard@monroecounty.gov. And the reason why I had this email, because when she would email me and say, I didn't hear from you, I'd email her back and say, I came down there. Or I didn't know I was supposed to appear. So here I am locked again in this ludicrous, insane 1984 of Pretrial Services Corporation, where I have been down there, I have called her, and she's calling me and saying, I haven't heard from you, when a prosecutor's never talked in court. Is this legal? Can Alex Renzi use an entity that is not funded by taxpayer dollars, that's Pretrial Services Corporation, it's a corporation, if I don't contact and then he could turn me to jail? Is that constitutional? I don't know, but you law school graduates who are Perry Douglas, Elizabeth Buckley, Julie Sianka should know. I have not written this down yet, and I will. A sick, lunatic French that you cannot recognize. District Attorney's Office, Public Defender's Office, and Sheriff's Office. Michael Rowley, Todd Thurston, William Tadeo, Kathleen Miller. Kathleen Miller, anybody in your family, you have a husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, niece, nephew, if they were violently attacked at a library like I was, like Richard J. Seatman, you would demand justice for whoever was in your life that violently attacked you. And Todd Baxter was in the embrace of violence. It just does not matter to Todd Baxter at all. That's $75,000 Richard J. Seatman's a violent free comp, because he has received this repeatedly. I wrote this, and then 1 week later I wrote the criminal complaint, for which he has not been arrested. July 25th, 2023. Your violent psychopathic Todd Baxter, Sheriff, 130 South Plymouth Avenue, Rochester, 14604. Your violent psychopath employee 75904 Richard J. Seatman stalked me into the Pembroke Public Library, stood up at the community terminal. Seatman ran at me, slammed his arm beside my head. I fell backwards. My head hit the ceramic tile floor. This violence is irrelevant to you. You embrace violence because you felt psychopathic criminal will not be fired. When I write a criminal complaint, there will be details of assault by Seatman. He will not be arrested or prosecuted. Nothing will happen to your taxpayer subsidized sociopath that must undergo an immediate mental health evaluation. He will attack other innocent citizens. Did you order Seatman to stalk me into the library when you informed about his disgusting predatory behavior? Did you have no knowledge about his finances when you refused to answer? Resign, Christopher Chichester. You will refuse to answer. That's exactly right. There's not one fucking word from Todd Baxter about Richard J. Seaman violently attacking me at the Panther Public Library. Not one word at all. And I can hear a freak out here in the hall. So if this is a knock on the door, it's a freak knocking on my door at 5:30 in the morning. Freaks everyone in Rochester, New York. That cannot be normal. Just like this freak here can't be normal. Shannon Meyer. Shannon Meyer of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office here. Believes it's a crime to walk through this parking lot. This is a parking lot in Pempton, New York that I used to live in. There's my residence right there, right next to it. I'm coming back from Goldstream Fairport, and Aaron shot his 50-year-old freak loser. His mother starts to scream at me, have this confrontation with him. Then I have to talk to Shannon Meyer. When I write something like this has arrived at the Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office, United States Attorney for the Western District, New York, over and over. It doesn't matter. When I write up here, the Shield, on Sheriff Todd Baxter's 83-291-4227 Fanatic Shannon M. Meyer. Mail it inside prosecutor's office, the address below in Rochester, New York, read the 6 attached PDF documentation. Answer me about sexual harassment in your office. File Shannon M. Meyer. A warrant for my arrest for a parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times. This is the lunatic fringe. This is sickness. This is why people hate the police. That Sheriff Todd Baxter can't recognize. I want to say this again for you freaks, sociopaths. It's just Sheriff's Office, Public Defender's Office. A warrant for my arrest for parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times. This civilian, Neeraj Shah, lived with his mother, is demanding that I be arrested for behavior I've engaged in for 8 years that my neighbors engage in, for which is not a crime. It's Shannon Meyer. $16,000 raise he gave her. I'm going to write the Freedom of Information Law demanding Todd Baxter's payroll in a 6-month period since he took office in January 1, 2018. Because I want to see how we deliver raises to everybody at the Sheriff's Office. Again, why you freaks sociopaths? Why use that word? Sexual harassment at Todd Baxter, Sandra, Doorley, Alex Renzi. You in compliance with Title VII and 1964 Civil Rights Act or not? Tell me what the answer is. Mail names are prosecutor's office, the address of this bill, read the 6 attached PDF documentation, answer me about sexual harassment in your offices. The language I wrote on before, I was specific language about Title VII. That's Sandra Doorley and Todd Baxter ignore. Because Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley are a cancer. On April 24, 2023, comply with the attached Freedom of Information Law documents, mail names are prosecutor's office, the address below. I prosecuted silence before Lomenzo, you refused. This doesn't matter to you. Again, when I contact Thomas Weaver at Apple, I use his name because I believe that he could force a resignation from Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, or both. Because you're definitely doing unethical things with money. I do not know if you're doing illegal things with money. And there's a fine line that separates unethical from illegal. And Thomas Weaver at Apple, the state controller in the Alfred E. Smith building in Albany, New York, to make that decision. Like this freak right here, Janice McNair. Did Todd Baxter call County Executive Adam Bello to set this freak up? Janice McNair in the Office of Public Integrity. This is the very definition of a patronage hire, where he's now a double dipper just like Todd Baxter. But Todd Baxter's an elected double dipper. He created this double dipper, Janice McNair. He was about 40 pounds overweight. Unethical. MCSO patronage hire Janice McNair and public defender Judy Siaka. And again, Judy Siaka telling you to tell me that is my prosecutor's silence for which you're refusing. As my prosecutor's silence, the address is below Rochester, New York, psychopaths. Capiche? Read these 6 attached PDF documentations, Freedom of Information Law. Ask me about sexual harassment in your offices. Fire your 83-291 42-cent nightmare cop Shannon and Meyer Todd 42 cents or a joke. Okay, the cents. It's really mind-blowing, bizarre. So, Sheriff of Monroe County is forcing me to call some ludicrous idiot bureaucracy like Pretrial Service Corporation is afraid to open his mouth for me. Sick lunatic fringe of this sheriff. I held up one recently where the tag was over it. You couldn't see his name. But there's it's X'd out. Right here it says refused. His entire repulsive, nauseating, disgusting freak show existence, Sheriff Todd Baxter was tax dollars. Refused. Because he knows I'm demanding answers from him, just like I am right now. About Janice McNair. And about Richard Seaman, and about Shannon Meyer. These Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that have concocted every single crime for me are just like a barber who doesn't know how to cut hair. And you sit down in the barber chair, and he's going to stand and say, I don't know how to cut your hair. I have no idea. It's exactly the way these freak cops are, because they can't identify a crime. That's why prosecutors always silent in court. Sheriff is afraid to open his mouth for me because he is in chains. I just read this again 2 days ago. Sheriff's in chains, afraid to open his mail from me. It says refused here again, refused. Sheriff Todd Baxter, see that clearly. I'm paying to reach him. Again, refused. James McNair, the patronage hire that Todd Baxter created, is also refusing. There are, I'm going to guess here, 200 documents in here. Well, I'm asking him what I just said. How are you at this office? Asking him on YouTube. I don't think I wrote anything down. I think I just sent him to YouTube. I did not write him directly. So I want to be clear. I think I just sent him to YouTube where he can see and go to the search box and type his name, Jance McNair, into YouTube, and he can see me talking to him. I'm happy to do this from memory because this is a significant time ago. The date on here is January 31st, 2023. This is a year and a half ago. Since I sent this to him a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, 22 months ago, if he's still there, since his time in Iraq 22 months ago, he's existing as a patronage hire double dipper because of Todd Baxter and Adam Bello, for which Sherva Roman, the chairman of the Monroe County Legislature, doesn't give a shit. It doesn't matter to her. So, again, Todd Baxter, returned to sender. I think there were 300 in here. I remember I was at the post office on North Winton Road and I was talking to the employee, Jim. Yeah, there's your name right there. And I said to him, can you send this? Because I had to put the tape on it. And he said, it's just about heavy enough for us to put it in the mail. It's meaning the Postal Service. 200 documents in there. Todd Baxter, his name is there that I can see with the white markers put over. So I communicated to you to put your finger in Brooklyn, New York. You don't know anything about Brooklyn, New York. I'm my mother and father from. You don't know anything about Bay Ridge, Bushwick, Stuyvesant. Nothing about it. How many times have you driven over the Verrazano Bridge from Brooklyn to Staten Island? How many times have you been on Shore Road? How many times have you been to Owl's Head Park? What do you know about Brooklyn, New York? And I use Brooklyn, New York because you super livers that have been in Monroe County and Rochester, New York for the last 30 years don't know anything about New York. Any of the other 61 counties. Which is why you're deformed. Which is why you behave the way you do. Because you have a limited life experience in Monroe County where all you know is Monroe County. I lived in Kentucky for 3 years when I was in 101st Airborne Division. I lived in Albany, New York for 10 years. I was employed by majority year and governor. I lived in Washington, D.C. for 5 years when I was U.S. House and U.S. Senate staffer. This is a significant 20 plus years experience in my life outside of Monroe County. And I'm from Long Island, where I went to State University of New York at Stony Brook, where I'm a graduate. There are so many different experiences you can have outside of Monroe County that you've never had at the Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office, Town Court, New York State Supreme Court, Public Defender. Because I demand the length of service, and every single one of you freaks is sociopath, nearly, has been there for 10 plus years. Easy. Todd Baxter has an employee at the Sheriff's Office, Frank Chernetsky, that's been employed at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office for 57 years, which means Frank Chernetsky, he was hired at 18 years old, 75 years old. And I believe I was standing right next to Frank Chernetsky at the jail. I looked at him shrinking his uniform. I'm only 5'8", barely. He's shorter than me. How can a 75-year-old man protect himself being around murderers and rapists? And the answer is he can't. So, this is the payroll here for the Sheriff's Office. We should open up to a page. I'm going to talk about what I see on this page just randomly. On this page are the six-figure cops. It's the second highest paid employee. There's two employees at $163,000. Michael D. Fowler and Maurice Leone. I think Maurice Leone's paid just $200 more than Michael D. Fowler. So when I say that Michael D. Fowler is the highest paid, it could be incorrect because both him and Maurice Leone are paid $163,000. Jason D. Tripoli, $127,253. Salvatore Amatore, $127,252 71 cents. Jeffrey T. Lamartino, $116,351 Providence E. Crowder, $129,798 Maurice Leone, $163,877 Christopher J. Scheller, $132,213 Edward L. Krenzer, 143,045.76. James McGowan, 145,906.85. Of these employees' names I just read, James McGowan, Edward Krenzer, Maurice Leone, are all paid more money than Sheriff Todd Baxter. He used these sick lunatic French. And on his payroll here, I'm going to go to the last page because I don't have the original payroll because my psychopath landlord, Antonio Spano, evicted me. Yeah, so you guys, on the last page, Samuel Bell, one of his zone commanders, 142,575. His zone commander, Samuel Bell, is paid $10,000 more than Todd Baxter. It just does not matter to Todd Baxter that my psychopath landlord, Antonio Spano, 80 years old, Fairport, New York, locked the doors and locked me out, and that's a crime. It does not matter to Sheriff Todd Baxter that Nayrod Shah's demanding my arrest and going to the sheriff's office with a false criminal complaint, which is falsely filing a criminal complaint, which is a crime, demanding my arrest, and he has not been arrested. It just does not matter to Todd Baxter and any of these freaks and sociopaths understand how to identify a crime. Does not matter to him at all. The criminal complaints that I wrote about Nayrod Shah, Richard Seaman, Laura Riley, Antonio Spano were ignored by Sheriff Todd Baxter. It does not matter to Sheriff Todd Baxter that people have committed crimes upon me and destroyed my life at all. It does not matter to him at all. So, disclosure here. For 131-416 Chief of Grand Jury Bureau, Michelle Crowley, on January 7, 2024. This is the foil I just talked about. January 7, 2024, a year ago, nearly a year ago, 10 months ago. You refused to comply with this January 7, 2024 foil dated PDF because of your bankrupt character and inability to understand language, my language. Information about the grand jury, quote, information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, 2 Todd Christopher charges, that is, 1, the day, month, and year the grand jury is convened, 2, to sign District Attorney's Office plate to address the grand jury, 3, the witness that testified to the grand jury, 4, the vote of the grand jurors, 5, to transfer during grand jury proceeding. All 5 of those factors here that I listed, which is information I'm demanding. Michelle Crowley ignored, and Sandra Doorley is ignored repeatedly when the registered mail return receipt, UPS, and FedEx arrives. Just like Michelle Crowley ignores it. This language here, January 13th, 2023, you have violated my civil and constitutional rights for prosecutor's silence and will continue to refuse to disclose the names of these freaks and sociopaths as a report to you attached to 3 Freedom of Information Law documents dated July 13, 2023. This language, then I go on from there. And this graph here, I'll read. Attached is documentation I've sent to your office via registered mail return receipt, United Postal Service, Federal Express for 18 months. I've demanded using legally binding documentation that you disclose the names I prosecute silence. You have refused and craved silence. I acquired your payroll using the foil, and that's how I know you're corrupt. First District Attorney Perry Douglas paid $113,918.94. He has repeatedly refused to disclose the names I prosecute silence. Lunatic French. Who is it? You know who it is. Just like I'm going to be in front of one judge again. The New York State Legislature needs to change this law to allow one judge to have total control over life. And New York State Legislature needs to change this law to allow some type of appellate process, appeals process for a little tiny corrupt psychopath freak judge like Paul C. Metz or John P. Lenzo Jr. and James P. Miller Jr. in Pathtown Court. One judge. One judge can destroy a life when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court. If this happened to you, Perry Douglas, Elizabeth Buckley, Julie Sianka, Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley, if everything happened to you that has happened to me with being in jail 6 times and 6 times freak prosecutor not talking in court, you'd be on YouTube too and you'd be exercising your First Amendment right, or you'd be in another forum doing it. So, one judge, a joke. If someone would have said to me in elementary school, if my elementary school teacher, Gail Riley, in the 4th grade, would have said to me when I'm 9 years old, Christopher, can you go to jail in the state of New York when the prosecutor in the courtroom does not talk and say you committed a crime? I would have said to Mrs. Gail Riley at 9 years old at Wing Street Elementary School in Long Island, no. Because elementary school children know something's fucked up with that, or would know. So, payroll for the district attorney's office. Who is it? You all know who it is. If you're thinking, if you're watching me now as I just arrived in 30 minutes, he should be in jail. Do you know why? You can easily reach that psychopath conclusion that he should be in jail. Do you know why it's easy for you to think that way? Harry Uckles, Elizabeth Buckley, Julie Sianka. Do you know why you can think in your brains he should be in jail and he will be in jail? Because the one judge exists. Because the prosecutor doesn't have to talk before the one judge. That's why. Am I being perfectly clear to you, taxpayers subsidized fucking freaks, that I have prosecutors of silence that have violated my civil and constitutional rights? And you Perry Duckles, Elizabeth Buckley, and Julie Sianka know the names. So mail the names to my address on the foil. What's not to understand in Jonestown? So, dead flat broke district attorney. She has no money. Todd Baxter did not send me his financial disclosure back to Thomas P. DiNapoli, who I talk about repeatedly on YouTube. When I contact state control, I'm going to send him his documentation I have read and showed up repeatedly. I'm going to say the sheriff of Monroe County refuses. This is the insane level of corruption of Todd Baxter. He rejects any type of regulatory control power over him to include the United States Department of Justice, and that would be the state controller. Because hypothetically, if the state controller asked Sheriff Todd Baxter his financial disclosure, he would refuse. Sheriff's making car commercials, getting paid by a car dealer. He has to. He's making commercials, getting paid. He's not doing it for free. And a financial disclosure will have on it payment. And when he's making car commercials and getting paid, he has to negotiate with the car dealer, which takes away from his time as sheriff. So the sheriff's trying to get paid, make money from a private car dealer when there's all kind of violence on North Clinton Avenue, when there's freaks around the transit center all the time, when there's violence all throughout Rochester. The sheriff is ignoring it because he wants to get paid by a car dealer. And he just thinks the Rochester Police Department exists. They'll take care of it, which they don't. The Rochester Police Department, I have not acquired the payroll yet from RPD Chief David Smith, but I will. And everything I'm doing here, all these documents I showed, I'm going to send to him. Do you notice that Wegmans on East Avenue, RPD is there every day with the siren going? I have photograph after photograph of RPD vehicles in places where they don't belong. When I go to a Rochester Red Wings game, there's RPD. When I go to the public market, there's an RPD vehicle. When I go to Blue Cross Arena or walk past it, there's an RPD vehicle. This 7-Eleven on Park Avenue, when pointing to is in this direction, they're there 24/7. The job of the Rochester Police Department is not to drive over a business and park there so the shoplifter won't go into it or the shoplifter will not get away. Because there is shoplifting going on, I have seen in person at the CVS. If there is shoplifting going on from the drug house on Berkeley Street in Rochester, and they go in there, I've seen this also, I've seen multiple crimes at CVS. Then the CVS employees will call 911 and call RPD or MCSO, and they will come. The job of RPD, Sheriff's Office, does not do this. It's not to drive over and park right in front of it, CVS on Park Avenue, 7-Eleven Park Avenue, and just wait there in case something happens, which is what RPD does. They're there all the time, just like they're at the public market, where there are no criminals in the public market. At least at 7-Eleven and CVS, they could say it's being shoplifted, but still, it's not the job of police anyway to drive to any business and park and wait for a crime to be committed, which is what RPD does at 7-Eleven, CVS on Park Avenue. And what the fuck are they doing at the public market? I think I have 100 photographs of them in the public market. You know, some using profanity. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office came to my residence to tell me how to talk because this Nancy Doorley of this business called Consumer Insights, which is right next to where I used to live in Penfield. Consumer Insights is right here, and that's where the camera is from Todd Baxter that he put on this building. The surveillance device is right here. This is Consumer Insights right here, and it's the camera that Todd Baxter used upon me. I should have held this up earlier, but that's it, in here in 34 minutes. So this Nancy Doorley, I take my little guy, my dog I adopted from Lollipop Farm Humane Society, for his walk this one day, and this Nancy Dooley of this business Consumer Insights is constantly staring at me when she's in her vehicle. And I ignored her. Over and over and over, I ignored this Nancy Dooley, this freak employee that works with Todd Baxter to put the camera. I'm looking for a picture of my little guy, and I'm not going to hold it up. But anyway, I'm walking my dog, my Shih Tzu. Nancy Dooley pulls up to me. She's right here. I had enough with her. I said, what the fuck are you looking at? Fuck you. She drives away. Half hour later, there's 2 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees coming to my residence. I let them in. One of them, I believe, is Richard J.C. When he comes to me, he's standing this close to me. He says to me, what did you say to the woman in the car? I say to the Monroe County Sheriff Office employee, what the fuck are you looking at? Fuck you. And then the Monroe County Sheriff Office employee says to me, don't swear at me. Sheriff Todd Baxter Jonestown is coming to my residence to tell me how to talk, and he's telling me not to swear in my own residence after he demands my speech. Lunatic friends taking pictures of employees underwater in a pool. Sickness of this freak sheriff. You're calling Renzi down, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health on me when I've been on this thing. This is why Elliot Roth is his business. When I'm walking the parking lot, says to me, you got to be arrested. So, Christopher, your father and I don't understand how you're in jail when a prosecutor told in court because your 50th birthday is July 4, 2015, and you only have a speeding ticket in Albany, New York, and a speeding ticket in Washington, D.C. on a Beltway, and both were dismissed in court. So your father and I were just confused about how you've been in jail over and over and over and how that happens to you. It happens because of a corrupt, psychopath, freak cop at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, a corrupt, psychopath, freak assistant district attorney, and a corrupt, psychopath, freak judge. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I've been an innocent man my whole life.